Hello, this is Toshi Shimada, music director and the conductor of the Eastern Connecticut Symphony Orchestra. We have a fantastic concert coming up. It's going to be on January 25th at the Garde Art Center at 7:30 p.m. Now, we have a privilege of having two of the three soloists we will be featuring in this concert. And we have a two right now because one of the pieces that we are performing requires two soloists. And they are Stephan Tieszen, our concertmaster, and Alex McLaughlin, our principal violist. Welcome.
Happy to be here.
Look forward to seeing everybody.
Very soon. And I just wanted to talk about this incredible piece, composition written by Mozart, and I consider this one of his best in a way. And I'd like to hear your feeling about it, or anything you like to talk about it, so the audience will benefit from it. And we could ask you about each instrument, the violin, the viola part, which you are playing, and something special about the piece, and whatever you like to say. So, would you like to start that, Stefan?
Sure. So I've not played this piece with orchestra in about 35 years, and I got a hold of my old parts and looked at them and went, oh my God, I have to use a scholarly edition. So one of the first things that I did was we ordered a very good Baron Reiter edition, or a Henley edition, I guess. There is no original manuscript to this double concerto. It was not in Mozart's estate when he passed away, which is most unfortunate. So we have to do a little bit of guesswork based on, of course, the manuscripts of the violin concertos, of which we have all of them, as you are aware, I work from them. What is nice, however, is there are original Mozart cadenzas. And these are the only cadenzas that we have that were written for stringed instruments. There might be a cadenza to the fragment of the triple concerto for violin, viola, and cello, but these are the only complete cadenzas we have in Mozart's hand, which is really, really nice. And they're absolutely beautiful and quite short, too.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that this concerto, although there will be two soloists, they are not really competing each other. They'll be really collaborating all the time. It's wonderful things. Alex, your feeling about the piece?
Yeah, I mean, I love that you mentioned, just starting off, that it's a duo concerto in its core essence, which I think, especially as a violist, I mean, our instrument, especially in this period, in Mozart's period, the concerto was certainly not the spotlight that we often got. But Mozart, being as talented as a violinist and a violist in his chamber music performances, I think he gravitates to letting the viola shine as a collaborator in this piece. And you're right; it's not a competition. It's in fact a healthy dialogue. There are so many parts of this piece where something will get introduced in the violin and the viola will comment on something and maybe add something new to it. There are many times where both solo instruments will play something together. And there's a lot of interaction with the orchestra as well, which I think kind of owes to the name Sinfonia Concertante. It's not just a show about the two soloists, but really a great conversation between the soloists as well as every other member of the orchestra, particularly the horns. I think there's so many lovely horn calls in this piece that are just so lovely to listen to.
I mean, I have mentioned in the beginning about this, your part, the viola part originally was in different key.
That's correct. Yeah.
Can you
So in
elaborate on that?
the original part, Mozart actually calls for the viola to tune up a half step. We read in what we call a scordatura, or just an alternate tuning. And so instead of playing the notes as they would be normally, I'm reading in D major instead of E flat major. And I think this was Mozart's attempt. This is just positing, but his attempt to rectify with the fact that the viola as an instrument is a bit sonically inferior to the violin in terms of just, not that we're competing, but our sounds, it's a bit easier for the violin to project over an orchestra than the viola. By tuning up the instrument a little bit, that it allows the viola to resonate so much more in the tonic key of E flat, and leads to a lot of possibilities that just lets the sound ring and jump out from the rest of the orchestra.
How difficult is it to play scordatura tuned instrument?
It kind of depends. For me, I am blessed and or cursed with absolute pitch.
Good.
So uh, so I am painfully aware that the notes that I'm playing are not the notes that I'm here that are on
Yeah.
the page. But feasibly, if you weren't aware of that, it would still be a little weird. One of the things that Stefan actually helped me with was I ordered these extra long strings for my viola, because otherwise you'd have this crazy tension on the strings that would feel
Yeah.
so tight, and it would totally change your articulation. And this kind of helped create a little middle ground so that it still feels pretty comfortable. But in terms of learning it, it became I had played it before in the conventional E flat way. And this time, I mean, it was rediscovering a new piece, frankly. It was completely different. I'm really excited to share it with everyone on the 25th.
Right. Stefan, because there are some scordatura parts for the violin, like Mahler's Falls, what do you think about this? How do you feel about playing scordatura?
So because I play Baroque violin, I'm very comfortable hearing in different pitches. Unfortunately, I do tend to hear either in 440 or 415A,
Uh,
and then I can get really off. Because I play Baroque violin, scordatura is not an issue. The only scordatura that really bothered me is the Mahler 4.
yeah.
And that took a little bit of getting used to, I have
Uh,
to say, because the violin's tuned right. Yeah, because
yeah.
that's actually quite high.
So your really personal feeling about this piece, how do you feel when you're playing?
Yeah, I think it's just I mean, there's really such a sense of joy that I get playing this piece. I mean, for me, earlier you said that this is one of Mozart's, I think, one of his best works.
Yeah.
And I would agree. There's so much quintessential Mozart sound going on. Just, it kind of feels like there are instances where you get to be soaring across, the sky as if you're flying above all this land. And there are other times where it can just be, especially in the second movement, there are some really
Yeah, let's talk about
somber
second.
notes.
Yeah, because this piece was written right after Mozart's mother died while
That's
they were
right.
traveling in Paris. And it does have that so much soulful feeling in this movement. And it kind of pains me to really sometimes listen to it. It's really one of the saddest piece that he has written, I think. And so, when you performing a piece like that, I mean, you probably have to really kind of detach yourself and not really get emotional, right? I don't know.
I think there's a balance for sure. I think definitely when you're performing, you do have to be paying a bit of attention to what's happening around you. But I think you have to. I think tapping into the context of Mozart's life at this point, I think it does really fuel it. And not to go back to scordatura again, but because of the scordatura, the viola, which normally really likes playing in C minor, the scordatura actually makes the instrument a bit muted, especially when the viola first enters, and that kind of adds to it, and then the sound really brightens when it eventually modulates to the relative major,
Yeah, yeah.
and that in and of itself just adds another little dimension to it.
Stefan, now I let you speak about the piece again.
Yeah. So one thing that's very striking is that this is around the time his mother died. He also wrote an E minor violin sonata,
Yeah.
which is incredibly tragic. And somehow the last movement is almost like a finale aria from an opera. It goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. And there's this absolutely wonderful ending that Mozart does where the violist plays the most difficult thing in the entire piece. And then the violinist did the same thing an octave higher. And there's a legend among musicians that if the violist misses it, the violinist always misses it. And if the violist
Uh-oh.
nails it, The violinist always nails it. And I remember seeing multiple performances over the years where exactly that happens because basically people get the giggles on stage because the ending of it is so funny. One of the things that Mozart does is he does these crazy jumps at the end of each movement, which are actually quite difficult if you're playing on an instrument without a chin rest or a shoulder rest. So this, jumping from here to here and back up again, it's actually quite comical. And modern violinists and violists tend to forget just how crazy hard this actually was. The other thing that happens is we play basically in this piece all the way from our lowest possible note to our highest possible note at the very end, which is actually rather entertaining. The other thing that's extremely interesting about the concerto is how he alternates between playing in octaves doubled, playing in conversations back and forth, and playing in harmony, parallel thirds, parallel sixths, parallel tenths. And it's never exactly what you expect. So it's almost like a Japanese garden where all the things are so perfectly placed, it looks like it grew that way. It wasn't made by a person. So when you play this concerto, one of the fascinating things about it is it doesn't seem that it's possible that somebody actually sat down and wrote it. It seems more like a natural phenomena, which is a very interesting thing that Mozart seems to be able to do with absolutely no effort.
That's great. Well, we are looking so much forward to perform all together. And it's going to be on January 25th, which is Saturday evening, 7:30 at the Garde Arts Center. I hope a lot of people will join. And just before we part, I know two of you, you perform with other orchestra. Alex just mentioned about the Woodstock Orchestra. But Stephan, I know you and I work together in other orchestra too as well. Would you just mention to us both of your scope of work as a violinist?
Okay, I'll go first. So I play concertmaster of New Britain Symphony and Eastern Connecticut Symphony, Opera Theater Connecticut in Clinton, and I'm the principal second and second, or I should say, alternate concertmaster for New Haven Symphony. I've also served as assistant concertmaster of the American Classical Orchestra at Lincoln Center. I've played with the American Symphony Orchestra years ago, Queen Symphony, and I also, strangely enough, have done a number of movie soundtracks over the years, back when we had that industry. And I also used to play a tremendous amount at Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun before the pandemic, with a whole variety of rock and jazz musicians, including Moody Blues, Frank Sinatra Jr., Tony Bennett. So if you look for me, I'll be almost every place that you look.
Everywhere.
I'm like, show up everywhere.
Giving around so much. And Alex is our new principal player. And Alex, what do you usually do when you're not playing with us?
Yeah, when I'm not, I've only been in the ECSO, I think, a few years now, serving as principal. I haven't really been out of school for very long. I graduated from Yale a few years ago, which is seeming longer and longer away now. But I'm originally from the Hudson Valley, so I play with a lot of the ensembles there at the Woodstock Symphony, namely, as well as the Hudson Valley Symphony Orchestra, formerly Hudson Valley Philharmonic, as well as the Greater Newburgh Symphony. I've subbed with Hartford and New Haven Symphony, Norwalk Symphony before. And I also have a string quartet, the Havenwood String Quartet. We do a lot of concerts around Hartford, New Haven. We even have a recital coming up at the Valley Music Series, Valley Episcopal Church on March 2nd, I think. March 2nd, yeah. Should be a really fun time. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to.
I think we are very fortunate that as busy as you are, you could devote some time for Eastern Connecticut Symphony Orchestra. Really, really fortunate. And of course, it's fortunate that you'll be featured this coming 25th in the Mozart Sinfonia Concertante for Violin and Viola. And I look forward to really performing together again. Thank you.
See you then. Bye-bye. Thank you.
See you
Bye-bye.
then.